What's going on, everybody? It's FREEDO here for your Overwatch balance and community news here today. First up, Surefour was at the new streamer residency at the Blizzard headquarters and was joined by Joshua No, who is a developer for Overwatch. He's the guy that came up with the Torbjorn rework. High fives to Josh for that one. I think that was a cool change. But they discussed all sorts of balance changes that are going to be coming to the PTR, clarifying some of the hints that we were getting from Jeff Kaplan. I'll leave link to the description, the Twitch VOD, if you want to hear how they discuss and explain all these things, but I'll summarize for you here. They originally were going to nerf the Doomfist movement set, so it was hard for him to move horizontally across the map so radically, but it felt terrible in their internal testing, so they botched that. By the way, I love that the devs are letting us into these failed experiments a bit more. Please do more of this. But what looks like should be going on to the PTR is that they'll be reducing the seismic slam range from 20 meters to 15, reducing how far you can go with slam and a bit of its impact. Also getting nerfed is the loss of control that you have on your character when Doomfist uses rising uppercut on you, shortening the duration of time it takes for you to be able to regain control of your character. Pretty significant nerfs, and remember, these changes aren't on the new PTR yet. This is going to be on the next PTR, and also as well, with any of these changes, I would say potentially they're subject to change. Josh seemed pretty confident on the Doomfist ones. Some of these other ones, not so much. For example, they're buffing Bastion with two changes. One, his recon mode fire, so when he's walking around, clip size is going to be increased from 25 to 35. But as well, one that they're toying around with and may or may not be coming is when you're turreted up in the sentry mode, having the minigun reduce its weapon spread the longer you shoot. I've played around with this mechanic in a few other shooter games. This has the potential to be OP because you'll be perfectly accurate after you shoot for a little while. I mean, think how devastating Bastion riding the cart already is. Now imagine that he has more effective range because the spread narrows over time, meaning that he will devastate squishy targets and can have more or less pinpoint accuracy, even if he does have damage fall off at range. But putting all the bullets in a tighter spread definitely makes him scarier. I mean, this is closer to what Bastion was originally. If you remember, a long time ago, they reworked his spread in sentry mode so that it no longer could headshot, and it was sort of a sporadic wide cone of spread all the time. Now, rather than give him headshot damage, they're looking to have a mechanic where you tighten the cone as you shoot. That's a crazy change, but one that I think many hitscan players will be happy to hear. McCree is getting his fan the hammer damage increased by 10 per shot, which would take it from doing a max of 45 up to 55 per bullet, and you shoot 6 of those, increasing the overall damage from 270 to 330, meaning that you could afford to miss a bullet and still one-shot a 250 HP target, or, especially with all the armor in the game, if you hit every bullet, maybe even take out a character with 300 HP, which is a thing that happens nowadays when a character has rally armor on them. Surefour joked on his stream that we're going back to the days of McRight-click. If you don't know, in the first few months of Overwatch's launch, McCree was the best character in the entire game. I know it's hard to believe, but his right-click melted tanks and basically did everything, and you could right-click all the time, and it was outrageous. But with the amount of durability that's in the game right now, and they also did other changes to McCree as well, I don't think any of us expect this to get out of hand, especially when you consider, I mean, back then you didn't have Brigida Bash or Doomfist Punch, these other abilities that ran up on you at close range and instantly deleted you. In comparison, McCree's right click still isn't even as good as some of those things, so this is just keeping McCree in line with the power creep of the game, I'd say. In any case, I think most of us would expect him to struggle a bit against a character like Ashe, where although McCree might be a bit better against Genji Tracer because he has the threat of the stun, Ashe probably is going to see more playtime anyway because she has something that's even more reliable in an escape. Why put all your eggs in the one-shot kill basket if you could just jump to high ground and avoid Tracer altogether? It's hard out here for an old cowboy. All the shielding in the game really gave him a hard year. A few more interesting tidbits they discussed on the stream. They are not looking to do more reworks, and Surefour asked if Reaper could penetrate armor, and Josh replied with an interesting factoid. armor was introduced to the game in order to lessen the effect of Reaper and Tracer. And I don't mean Brigitte armor. Obviously, when the game launched, realistically, I think only tanks had armor. And back then, at least, it was a stabilization in order to stop the big hitboxes of tanks to just get simply destroyed by Tracer and Reaper. I mean, they kind of do anyway, but it would be even worse if they didn't have any base armor hit points. But I think most of us know it's kind of gone the other way, where now that there's extra armor in the game, Tracer and Reaper really struggle to kill anything if Rally's active. So something to think about, and it's not really possible to solve every problem because at this point in the game, there's always going to be something that is slightly better because it's impossible to balance for this many heroes and make them all viable at the same time. Surefour asked if a new character could ever give someone a crowd control immunity ability, sort of like Zarya Bubble, but lasting longer and just for CC. And that kind of idea is pretty cool sounding, but Josh was sure to remind that if you could put something like that on a character like Genji when he has Dragon Blade, then you flat out remove the ability to make a really big play and sleep dart him or CC him or really be able to do anything. And that kind of play becomes really oppressive, or, you know, Doomfist or whoever you can think that could just dive in and start destroying your team. The dev team has to be really careful with what type of abilities they add. In addition to this point, I think a lot of people ask for Reinhardt to have some crowd control resistance, but the reality of a thing like that is that it would make a comp like 3-3 even scarier right now. Maybe in a world where we had a Force 2-2-2, I'd understand, but giving Ryan a soft fortify would make him even better than he already is, and Ryan Brigitte already is running the entire game, at least at the highest ends of play. But that's it on balance talk. Let's move on to a very important update. Onto the forums by customer support member Draculoth, I hope I'm saying that right, who wants to warn everybody that the next patch will have some pretty fundamental changes to the game client requiring you to uninstall and reinstall the game, which can take a long time if you have a metered connection. So you guys are going to want to have to prepare for that. I wouldn't get too excited on the feature end of things, because let's say if they were trying to come out with the guild system beta or something like that, why wouldn't they have announced that at BlizzCon if it was so close? I think this is more so just for performance of the game, because think about it, they've added, I don't know, like 100 patches or something over the course of a few years. That sort of makes the code a bit convoluted, and I've even noticed on the PTR the performance hasn't felt so hot with Ashe, which usually they do iron out, but I think with this one, on the next patch after Ashe, this is looking to clean up performance overall, so the game runs a bit smoother. But that's just my theory, I could be wrong on that. If any of you out there are coders and have a better guess on what a fundamental change to the game client would be, let us know in the comment section down below. Last story for the day, getting a little bit serious now. This is a subject that I want to treat quite seriously and respectfully. A couple days ago, Dafran tweeted this out, basically saying that he was going to be quitting the Overwatch League. On stream, he was soft throwing some games, picking Mercy and not healing anybody, just damage amping, sort of just refusing to play the game properly, which is something that he did prior to the Overwatch League as well. In the tweet, he says, "McDonald's, here I come," which is where he used to work before he became a star pro player, and then, of course, a very popular streamer. A lot of people didn't know how to take this. Some people thought it was a very poor joke, or perhaps a bit of mental illness showing up that we've known Dafran to suffer from in the past as well. And then, just yesterday, Dafran updated us yet again, saying, "I'm still in Atlanta Reign, didn't quit like I said, I messed up. Don't know what to say except sorry to the community, my fans, and Atlanta. It wasn't debate, sometimes I have these days and make dumb mistakes. Going forward, I'm going to stream less and focus on making myself and my team better." This is the kind of thing that's hard to see. There's a lot of community members that really hate on him for being rough around the edges and toxic, but I think you'll find most times in life, people that are that way typically have some stuff going on with themselves, and the weird thing about gaming is that a guy like Dafran can go from working at McDonald's to being a star in our community, and that's tough to handle, even in the most ideal of circumstances, and then he's trying to juggle grinding ranked and preparing for the Overwatch League in a few months. It's very easy to get trapped in a mode of behavior that's destructive and self-sabotaging. And Dafran, if you're out there listening to this, man, I hope you seek some help. Talking to friends is always nice, but a professional counselor can definitely try to get you on the right track. There's no shame in it at all. To all of our viewers, as well as Dafran out there, remember, it's a skill that many of us have to learn. I definitely had to learn it, and in many ways, I'm still learning it to this day, to treat yourself like you would a friend you care about. And it kind of brings me to tears to explain this, but it's something that I think each and every one of us could learn to do a bit better, and how easy it can be to make the worst decisions of your life because you're not thinking clearly or you're not prepared to think clearly. It's the easiest thing you can do to assume that you don't deserve love from yourself, but it's the most important skill a person can learn to avoid self-sabotaging behavior. You wouldn't let a friend act this way, so don't let yourself. Being a human's hard, guys. If only mental health problems were as easy to fix as a balance patch. I definitely wish I could get some brain buffs every now and again. Guys, I'm sorry it got a little bit real here at the end of the video, but it's such an important topic, man. That's gonna be it for everything on today's news roundup video. If you did enjoy the video, please be sure to leave it a like. It really does help us out. Lets us know that you're enjoying the content, and if you haven't already, please subscribe because we upload each and every day, so you're going to want to hit the bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live. Link to the description is our Twitter, where we tweet out news, updates, and dank memes. That's been it for me. I've been Freedo for Your Overwatch. I'll see you guys next time.